The world is a graveyard of good intentions. Look around you. The people who play by the rules, the ones who wait for permission, who believe that being good is enough to be rewarded, they are the ones who get devoured. They're the ones who work the hardest and receive the least. They're the ones who are betrayed, overlooked, and left behind. You have been told a lie, a beautiful, comforting lie. You are told that if you music are honest, the world will be honest with you, that if you are kind, you will be treated with kindness. But deep down in the part of your mind you don't talk about at dinner parties, you know the truth. You know that power doesn't care about your morality. Music, it cares about your leverage. There is a reason why the nice guy finishes last. It's not because he is unlucky, it's because he is playing a game he doesn't understand. He is playing checkers while the masters of reality are playing a different game entirely. A game written 500 years ago by a man who saw the human soul not for what it should music be, but for what it actually is. Niccolò Machiavelli. This video is not for the faint of heart. It is not for those who want to be comforted or told that everything will be okay if they just think positive. This is a wake-up call. I'm going to show you how to dismantle the programming that has kept you weak. I'm going to show you how to think like a prince. To think like a Machiavellian is not to become evil. That is a child's understanding of the philosophy. To think like a prince is to become effective. It is to look at the machinery of human nature, the greed, the fear, the envy, the ambition, and instead of being disgusted by it, you learn to operate it. You learn to move the levers. By the end of this audio, you will have a new operating system. You will understand why you have been losing battles you didn't even know you were fighting. You will learn how to build a reputation that shields you, how to use silence as a weapon, and how to neutralize threats before they ever surface. But be warned, there is a price for this clarity. Once you see the strings, you can never go back to the puppet show. Once you understand the mechanics of power, you lose the luxury music of being naive. You will walk through the world seeing the hidden agendas in every handshake, the calculation behind every smile. If you are not ready for that solitude, stop this video now. Go back to sleep. But if you are tired of being a pawn in someone else's game, stay. Let's begin the surgery. Lesson 1, the death of idealism. The first music step to thinking like a prince is the most painful. You must kill the idealist in you. Most people live in a hallucination. They live in the world of should. People should be grateful. My boss should notice my hard work. My partner should be loyal because I was loyal to them. This word should is the source of all your suffering. It is a denial of reality. Machiavelli wrote, "A man who wishes to make a profession of goodness in everything must necessarily come to grief among so many who are not good." Read that again. If you insist on being good in a world that is not, you will be destroyed. This is not cynicism. This is physics. When a lamb walks into a den of wolves, the lamb does not get credit for its purity. It gets eaten. To think like a prince, you must stop looking at the world through the lens of your own virtues. You must strip away the paint and look at the rotting wood underneath. Humans are driven by self-interest. That is the baseline. When someone helps you, they are helping themselves. When someone loves you, they are loving how you make them feel. When someone follows you, they are following the security or profit you provide. Accepting this doesn't make you bitter. It makes you free. When you stop expecting people to be saints, you stop being disappointed when they act like sinners. You stop being blindsided by betrayal because you factor it into your calculations. You realize that loyalty is not a character trait. It is a circumstantial agreement. As long as your interests align with theirs, they are loyal. The moment the wind changes, the agreement expires. The prince does not rely on the virtue of others. He relies on their necessity. He creates a situation where it is in their best interest to be loyal to him. Imagine you are in a burning building. A good person hopes the fire department arrives. A Machiavellian finds the exit. He doesn't hate the fire. He doesn't argue with the fire. He respects the fire for what it is, a destructive force, and he maneuvers around it. You must become a realist. Radical, brutal realism. When you look at your life, stop telling yourself the story you want to hear. Look at the data. If you are broke, it's not because the system is unfair. Even if it is, it's because you haven't learned how to extract value. If you are lonely, it's not because people are shallow. It's because you haven't mastered the art of attraction and value exchange. The idealist begs for a lighter load. The prince builds a stronger back. Drop the should. Look at the is. This is the foundation. Without this, you are building a castle on a swamp. You cannot navigate a terrain you refuse to see. Lesson 2. The masks we wear. Now that you see reality, you must decide what reality you show to others. Machiavelli famously said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." In the modern world, authenticity is marketed as a virtue. Just be yourself, they tell you. Be vulnerable. This is dangerous advice. It is bait. If you show the world your weaknesses, your insecurities, and your unfiltered thoughts, you are handing them the knife to cut you with. The prince understands that he is not a person to the public. He is a symbol. He is a projection. You must curate your avatar. This is not about lying. It is about selective revelation. You must appear to have the qualities that the world respects. You must appear competent. You must appear unshakable. You must appear to have moral fortitude even if your private decisions are purely pragmatic. Why? Because humans judge with their eyes, not their hands. They believe the performance. Think of the most powerful people you know. Not necessarily the loudest, but the ones who command the room. Do you know their deepest fears? Do you know what they cry about at 3 a.m.? No. You see the suit. You see the posture. You hear the calm voice. You see the mask. And because the mask is strong, you trust them. You follow them. If a general walks onto the battlefield and starts weeping about how scared he is, the army collapses. His authenticity destroys his utility. He must wear the mask of courage so that others can borrow bravery from him. To think like a prince, you must separate your private self from your public persona. Your private self is for you, and perhaps one or two people who have earned the right to see it. Your public persona is a tool for influence. Craft it. What do you want people to feel when you walk into a room? Fear, respect, love, comfort. If you want them to feel comfort, you wear the mask of the listener. You nod. You make eye contact. You speak softly. You make them feel heard. If you want them to feel respect, you wear the mask of the architect. You speak less. You take up space. You delay your reactions. You make them wait. This is not fake. It is functional. It is social camouflage. Machiavelli advised that a ruler should appear merciful, faithful, humane, religious, and upright. But his mind should be flexible enough to be the opposite if the situation demands it. Consider the workplace. The person who gets promoted is rarely the one who works the hardest. It is the one who looks like a leader. It is the one who manages their reputation. The one who complains about the workload looks weak. The one who silently delegates and presents the finished project looks capable. Control the narrative. If you don't, write your own story. Your enemies will write it for you. And they will not write you as the hero. They will write you as the villain, or worse, the fool. Never let your guard down in public. Never bleed in shark-infested waters. If you are hurt, you smile. If you are failing, you project stability. You fix the leak below the waterline in the dark where no one can see. On the surface, the ship sails smoothly. This is the discipline of the prince. The mask is heavy, yes, but it is better to wear a heavy mask than to have your face ripped off. Lesson 3. The Lion and the Fox. There are two ways to fight. One is with laws, the other is with force. The first is for men, the second is for beasts. But because laws are often insufficient, one must have recourse to the beast. Machiavelli uses the metaphor of the lion and the fox. The lion is strong. It can crush the wolf. It terrifies through sheer presence and power. The fox is cunning. It can spot the traps that the lion would step in. It maneuvers. It uses strategy. You cannot just be the lion. If you only use aggression, dominance, and brute force, you will eventually walk into a trap you didn't see. You will be outsmarted by someone physically weaker, but mentally sharper. You cannot just be the fox. If you only use tricks, lies, and evasion, eventually you will be cornered by a wolf who doesn't care about your riddles and will simply tear your throat out. You must be both. Thinking like a prince means knowing which tool to use. Most people have a default setting. Some people are naturally aggressive. They yell, they intimidate. Others are naturally passive-aggressive. They plot, they gossip. The master has no default. The master assesses the threat. Is the problem a trap? Is someone trying to deceive you, trying to sign you into a bad contract, trying to ruin your reputation with rumors? Be the fox. Don't fight them with anger. Fight them with confusion. Feed them false information. Smile while you dismantle their plan. Let them think they are winning until the moment the trap snaps shut on their own leg. Is the problem a wolf? Is someone openly challenging your authority? Are they stealing from you right in front of your face? Be the lion. This music is not the time for subtle games. This is the time for a display of absolute power. You strike hard, you make an example. Machiavelli wrote a line that chills the blood of the modern moralist. People should either be caressed or crushed. If you do the minor damage, they will get their revenge. But if you them, there is nothing they can do. If you need to injure someone, do it in such a way that you do not have to fear their vengeance. This is the dark core of strategy. Most people do minor damage. They insult someone, they make a petty comment, they leave a passive-aggressive note. All this does is create an enemy who will wait for the chance to hurt you back. You have created resentment without removing the threat. The prince does not engage in petty conflicts. He ignores the minor slights, the fox. But if a conflict is inevitable, if the war must be fought, he ends it. He destroys the enemy's ability to retaliate. In a corporate setting, this doesn't mean violence. It means you don't just argue with a toxic coworker. You document their incompetence for 6 months and have them fired. You remove them from the board completely. Caress or crush. Be the friend they love or the enemy they fear. Never be the annoyance they despise. Look at your own life. Where are you being a lion when you should be a fox? Screaming at traffic. Arguing with strangers on the internet. Wasted energy. Where are you being a fox when you should be a lion? Letting someone disrespect your boundaries repeatedly, hoping they will get the hint. That is weakness. Calibrate your beast. Switch modes instantly. This unpredictability makes you terrifying. If people don't know if they are going to get the charming diplomat or the ruthless warlord, they will. Tread very carefully around you. Lesson 4. Emotional alchemy. We touched on this, but we must go deeper. The greatest enemy of the prince is not the user, not the assassin, not the rival kingdom. The greatest enemy is his own emotion. Emotions are biological algorithms designed for survival on the savannah, not for dominance in the boardroom. Anger makes you impulsive. Fear makes you hesitate. Love makes you blind. Envy makes you reckless. If you can trigger my emotion, you can control my action. If I can make you angry, I can make you make a mistake. If I can make you afraid, I can make you retreat. To think like a Machiavellian is to view your own emotions as external weather patterns. You feel the rain, but you are not the rain. You do not get wet. This is the state of the cold observer. When chaos erupts, when the crisis hits, the average person panics, their pulse rises, their prefrontal cortex shuts down, and they revert to animal instinct. The prince trains himself to do the opposite. When the pressure rises, he becomes colder, he becomes slower. Silence becomes his refuge. Imagine a negotiation. The other side is shouting, demanding, threatening. They are red in the face. You sit there perfectly still. You look them in the eye. You say nothing. In that moment, you have won. Their noise is crashing against your silence like waves against a cliff. They are exhausting themselves. You are gathering data. You are watching their pupils dilate. You are hearing the crack in their voice. You are not reacting. You are analyzing. Why is he shouting? He is afraid. What is he afraid of? Losing the deal. Therefore, I have the leverage. This detachment allows you to use emotions as tools rather than being used by them. You can perform anger if it serves a strategic purpose. You can slam your fist on the table to make a point, but your heart rate hasn't changed. That is the difference between a tantrum and a tactic. Machiavelli suggests that it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Why? Because love is volatile. People fall in and out of love based on their own whims. Love is a bond of obligation which men being wretched creatures break whenever it suits them. But fear is maintained by a dread of punishment, which never fails. This sounds harsh, but look at reality. The boss who tries to be everyone's best friend gets walked all over. He is loved maybe, but he is not respected. When the layoffs come, he is ignored. The boss who is fair but strict, who sets boundaries, who people know will fire them if they steal or slack off, he is respected. He is perhaps a little feared. And because of that, the ship stays afloat. You don't need to be a tyrant. You just need to be capable of consequences. If people know you have teeth, you rarely have to bite. The threat is enough. But if you are toothless, if you are purely emotional, soft, and reactive, you will be chewed up. Practice the pause. When something happens that triggers you, insert a 5-second gap before you respond. In that gap, the prince awakes. In that gap, you choose the response that benefits your long-term goal, not the response that satisfies your immediate urge. Conquer yourself, and you can conquer the world. Lesson 5. The utility of morality. We need to discuss morality. We are raised to believe that morality is absolute. Good is good, bad is bad. Machiavelli introduces a terrifying concept. Morality is relative to the outcome. He judges a leader not by his intentions but by his results. If a ruler is good and kind and refuses to go to war, but his hesitation allows barbarians to invade and slaughter his entire population, was he truly good? His virtue led to a genocide. If a ruler is cruel and executes a few traitors, but that act secures peace and stability for millions for a generation, was he bad? His cruelty created life. This is the burden of command. You must be willing to do the necessary evil to secure the greater good. This is where people struggle. They want to keep their hands clean. The prince knows his hands will never be clean. In your life, this translates to making the hard decisions that nice people avoid. It means cutting off a toxic family member to save your own mental health. The nice thing to do is to keep suffering. The Machiavellian thing to do is to amputate the gangrenous limb to music save the body. It means firing the employee who has a family but is destroying the company culture. It means breaking up with someone you care about because their path does not lead where you are going. These actions feel mean. They feel cold, but they are necessary. Hesitation is the thief of destiny. When you know what must be done, do it immediately. Do not agonize. Do not wallow in guilt. Guilt is a mechanism of social control. It is society's voice in your head telling you to conform. The prince listens to a higher law: effectiveness, survival, growth. Does this mean you go around hurting people for fun? No. That is sadism. And sadism is inefficient. It creates unnecessary enemies. Machiavelli warns against being hated. Being feared is good. Being hated is dangerous. You avoid being hated by keeping your hands off people's property and their women. You don't take what isn't yours without cause. You don't act capriciously. Your cruelty must always have a reason. It must be logical. If you punish someone, explain why. You violated the code. This is the consequence. People can accept harsh justice. They cannot accept random violence. Be predictable in your standards, but unpredictable in your strategy. View morality not as a set of chains, but as a compass. Sometimes the compass points north, sometimes south. You go where the survival of your kingdom demands. If you cling to a rigid code of being a nice person, you are bringing a rulebook to a knife fight. The other guy doesn't care about your rules. He cares about winning, and history is written by the winners. Lesson 6. The power of absence. Value is driven by scarcity. The more there is of something, the less it is worth. This applies to gold, this applies to diamonds, and it applies to you. The mistake most people make is they are too available. They are always there. They answer the phone on the first ring. They say yes to every invitation. They pour their energy out like water from a broken pipe. And because they are always available, they are taken for granted. Familiarity breeds contempt. This is a law of human nature. If you want to be treated like a prince, you must learn the art of withdrawal. You must learn to starve the world of your presence. When you are always in the room, people stop looking at you. You become furniture. But when you leave, the dynamic changes. Where did he go? What is he doing? Is he angry? Is he busy? Your absence creates space for their imagination, and their imagination will paint a picture of you that is far more impressive than the reality. They will project power onto your silence. Use this consciously. In a negotiation, be ready to walk away. The person who is willing to walk away holds all the power. The person who needs the deal has already lost. In a relationship, maintain your own life, your own hobbies, your own world. Do not merge completely. Keep a part of yourself hidden, a garden that is walled off. This mystery keeps desire alive. In conversation, stop over-explaining. Weak people talk to fill the silence because silence makes them anxious. They feel they need to justify their existence. The prince speaks only when necessary. He answers the question with a few words and then he stops. He waits. He lets the silence hang in the air. He lets the other person feel the weight of it. Usually the other person will start babbling, revealing their insecurities, their true intentions, their cards. Collect this information, you say nothing. This economy of words projects immense confidence. It says, I do not need your validation. I am comfortable in the void. Be a rare coin. Do. Not be the penny found on the sidewalk. Make people work for your attention. Make them earn your time. When you give it, it is a reward. When you withdraw it, it is a punishment. You become the sun. When you shine, they feel warm. When you go behind a cloud, they feel the chill. They will chase the warmth. They will addict themselves to your approval. But you can only have this power if you are willing to step back, if you are willing to be alone. Most people cannot handle the solitude. They need the constant feedback loop of the crowd. The prince is comfortable in the dark. Lesson 7. The Architect. We arrive at the final lesson. Why? Why go through all this trouble? Why wear the mask? Why calculate? Why detach? Is it just for money, for fame, for control? Those are side effects. The true goal of the Machiavellian is autonomy, total absolute freedom. If you do not rule your own mind, society will rule it for you. If you do not create your own values, you will be enslaved by the values of the herd. If you do not design your own life, you will be assigned a role in someone else's script, and the role they assign you will be background character number 43. You will be the worker, be the consumer, the voter, the cog. Machiavelli wrote for princes. He wrote for the men who refuse to be cogs. He wrote for the architects. You are building a kingdom. It might be a business. It might be a body of work. It might be a family. It might just be the kingdom of your own mind, but it is yours. And to protect it, you need walls. You need weapons. You need strategy. Thinking like a prince is not about oppressing others. It is about preventing others from oppressing you. It is about creating a fortress so strong that you can live by your own rules. Look at the people who claim to be free, but are slaves to their impulses, slaves to debt, slaves to the opinions of strangers on social media. They are not free. They are driftwood floating in the ocean. The prince is the ship. He has an engine. He has a rudder. He cuts through the waves. This path requires you to accept full responsibility. You can no longer blame your parents. You can no longer blame the economy. You can no longer blame your nature. Machiavelli says that fortune, luck, controls half our actions, but she leaves the other half to be governed by us. A flood may destroy a village. That is fortune. But the prince builds dams and dikes before the flood comes. That is virtue. That is strategy. Stop complaining about the rain. Build the dam. This is the ultimate empowerment. It is the realization that you are not a victim of reality. You are a co-creator of it. You can bend the world. It is heavy. Yes, it resists. Yes. But with the right lever, with the right pressure applied at the right point, it moves, but you must be patient. The prince plays the long game. The fool wants the reward today. The prince plants the tree that will bear fruit in 10 years. He endures the boredom. He endures the silence. He endures the misunderstanding of the crowd because he sees the summit. And he knows that the view from the top is worth the climb through the mud. So you have the keys. You know now that the mask is necessary. You know that emotions are data, not directives. You know that morality is a tool, not a chain. You know that silence is louder than noise. You know that you must be both the lion and the fox. The veil has been lifted. You can look at the news, look at your boss, look at your relationships, and see the machinery working underneath. It is a profound power, but it is also a burden. The crown is heavy, the air at the top is thin. Most people climb a little way up, feel the chill, and run back down to the warmth of the herd. They choose the blue pill, they choose the illusion. They choose to be happy sheep rather than lonely wolves. And that is fine. The world needs sheep. But I don't think that is you. I think you are still here listening to this voice because you feel something else. You feel a hunger. You feel the potential for something greater. You are willing to carry the weight. Now you must ask yourself, what will you build with this power? Will you become a tyrant consumed by your own paranoia? Or will you become a true prince, a creator of order, a protector of your own, a master of your fate? The tools are in your hands. The rest is will. If this opened your eyes, understand this is only what I can show publicly. There are videos I cannot upload for everyone. There are aspects of dark psychology that I simply cannot discuss on YouTube without being censored, demonetized, or buried. The algorithm suppresses the most powerful information. It protects the herd from the wolves. But you are not the herd. Those advanced strategies exist behind the join button. If you are still here listening to the very end, you are not like the others. You have the attention span of a predator. Subscribe if you haven't. But if you want what is hidden, click the join button and step into the architect level. You will unlock exclusive uncensored videos that dive into the deepest parts of manipulation, power dynamics, and shadow work. Most won't. They will leave a comment and move on to a cat video. That's the point. Power is for the few. Are you one of them? Join us. We are waiting.